Alright, y'all, we're going to do a center diff fluid change in the Cobra Serpent. So I'll remove the cover here. So far, this is what I've gotten through. Remove the cover. You can't pull this out yet. I mean, it flexes, but you got to loosen this up on the bottom, the ESC and everything. And I'll show you all the screws. It's going to be these two big ones there. This one, the two little ones. And then it's going to be these two here. I didn't pull them out. I just loosened them so that I can get the ESC loose. And I want to see if this pops out now. I think I'm going to just pull the whole thing out, though, to be safe. It's definitely a lot looser now. I could probably do that, but I'm just going to pull this whole thing out because all this is mounted together. It's like one big chunk. Did the trick there. Got the whole, looks like a damn console. But I got that off. It's still attached to the servo, so you got to be careful. And pop the diff out. There we go. I'm curious to see if this is just like the whole bio, if it's got grease in it. I don't know. I have oils picked out, but I don't know what I'm going to go with just yet. But we're going to get this apart and see what it looks like. I know this is a little more involved in the whole bio or the slash diff, so we'll see what happens. On this rebuild, I pulled out the clear rubber bushings from inside the drive cups, and then I'm going to pull out the 4 screws here. I got 2 out already. I'm going to do these 2 next. Alright, and as I suspected, there's no fucking oil in here. It's just grease. That's annoying. That explains a lot of why this car was erratic on the track. These things are just spinning crazy. It's really rough, so we're going to take all these gears out, clean them up, clean the inside of this up, and I'm going to figure out the oil. So I hung this upside down on the rag here to drain out all the grease. That's what was in there. Literally, that's all that was in there. So we're going to clean this out. I'm going to use my little Q-tips on a stick, and I'm going to hit it with some WD-40 and a toothbrush on this and this, but I'm going to use this to clean this out. And then I'm going to use, in the front and center, we're going to use 5,000. And in the rear, I'm going to use 3. Tony uses 552 in the rear. I'm going to go a little thicker. This thing felt loose. I know it has everything to do with the grease, though. And basically what happens is when you just have grease in there and you hit a corner and you turn, these wheels start acting independently and doing their own thing. And usually when that happens, this spins out and, you know, you slide in the corners and all that shit. When you tighten it up with the diff oils, what happens is the wheels will work in concert with each other. So that when you turn, these go together instead of this one a little bit and this one a lot, or vice versa, whatever the case is. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to get started. All right, so I got the oil in there. The only issue I'm having with this thing is it's metal. It's a metal spur gear. And what that does is that really decreases the life of your pinion. I don't know. I might just keep it like this. It does feel a little smoother. However, it does feel a little tight. So I don't know how to put it right. So I'm just going to see how this works out. And I do want to put up like a little tip where these 4 screws, before you put them in, you have to line up the gasket that's in there. So what I do is I line it up on top and I gently place this inside and wiggle side to side. Don't do it too hard because you're going to strip the screws that are in there. And then for these rubber bushings that are in here, you gently place them in. And I took the 4.0 box and gently pushed that in. Oh, and when you install these bushings, make sure to put a little either diff fluid or something on it. You don't want those going in dry. You'll probably shred them. Alright, so let's make sure this is connected in the rear and the front. And we're going to reattach everything here. So after getting it locked in, I decided to try the reinstall a little different here. I'm going to start with the cover first, but these do need Loctite because they're going in the metal. So I'm going to pull this out. I'm not a fan of this big block for the ESC. I mean, I get it to keep it organized, but it's kind of a pain in the ass to work around. Alright, remember a little Loctite. Oh, goes a long way. Doesn't take too much. You put too much, you risk the chance of it getting stuck and you stripping the fucking screw when you try to pull it out again. Got that one. There we go. Now, hopefully this will slide back into place because it didn't before, so. Let's get this back in here. Tilt that up. Yeah, that's probably the best bet now that I've done it. So I'm thinking pull this off first, this whole piece with those screws on the bottom, then pull the cover off, and then pull the diff out. It's actually really simple. I mean, I like the concept of this big block thing, but I don't. Like, it's, I don't know. Pretty cool though. So that's that. I'm gonna, I guess tomorrow or maybe even later tonight, I might post the front. Because the front looks fairly easy. Looks like all you gotta do on the front is pop this off, and it looks like the diff case is right there, and it should come right out. That'll be awesome. So there we go. We got 5 in the middle. Still wrenching over here. We got the center diff done. Today I want to try to knock out this front diff, figure out how we get it out. I'm going to go ahead and assume that we take this off first. This is the front portion of the body. And when you take that off, this is what it's going to look like. Hopefully not as dirty as mine. I'm going to go ahead and shoot that out. Looks like that's where the sway bar is. So at some point we're going to have to loosen that or completely remove it to get into here. It looks like we got a couple screws here to pop off. There's probably 1 or 2 in the rear, but this is what we got to do next. It's probably going to be underneath somewhere here. Alright, so that top screw was a 2mm. These 2 front screws that are holding the front bumper in place are 2.5. I'm going to go ahead and remove these. And with those 2 screws out, this should slide right out. That's probably pretty dirty. Yep, I haven't gotten behind there yet. Alright, looks like next up, probably gonna have to remove this. So I don't know if you can see, it looks like there's 2 here. We're gonna pop those out. I'm worried that these C-clamps are gonna cause an issue because I don't have a tool for that. So I'm gonna pull these out, see what happens, and if it doesn't work, well, it should work. They're gonna come out. It's whether I can get that back in or not. I might have to see if Tony has those. Alright, real quick, these clamps are tricky. What I did was I just took I don't have the tool for it, so I took a screwdriver right into this little slot. There's 2 slots, the tool goes in it, it's like pinches them together. Anyway, I just took this and slid up with it, and the other one slid right off. That's the only way you're going to get this off the front. And now with those clamps off, you can remove this piece right off. It's a little dirty. Alright, and this is what it's going to look like once you remove this piece. I'm going to clean this up later when I reinstall. And as I thought, it looks like we might have to unhook the sway bars from the other side, I think. Quite possibly, yeah. There's a, if you look right here, there's this little piece here. That's what's holding it into place. A quicker way, and I'm actually glad I have this tool. All I did was I inserted it in between the ball and this plastic piece which was attached to it, and instead of clamping, I use it the other way and spread it open, and that comes right off. So then I'll do the other side, and all I have to do is remove this, and this whole shit should come out, and I should get to the diff. And now that I got both sway bars removed, I'm thinking my next step is pulling this one off and this one off because it looks cut off, and hopefully this just pops right in them two out. I found that there's two more. They're in here. So I loosen the other two up to lift this up a little bit. And then I'm using a flathead to pry with one hand and this hand to unscrew. So there's one here and one on this side. And just like magic, with those two bottom screws, I don't want to lose them. There they go right there. They're recessed here on the bottom. But with those two out, you got access to the diff. So we're gonna go ahead and slide this out. I'm pretty sure that just pops right out. And then I'm gonna replace it. I got a feeling putting this back in though is gonna be a bitch, because you gotta pry and try to find the screw holes to put it back in. So we'll see what happens. All right, let me get this out. And we got it out. In order to get it out, I used my one hand to lift both of these wheels up, and this kind of came out at an angle like this, because what I'm trying to do is do it with the least amount of work possible to get to it without having to rip this whole shit apart, take the shocks off and all that. So basically what I did was I just tilted both A-arms up, and it gave me just enough clearance to wiggle this out, but it's going to be a tight fit going back in. Alright, just like with all the other ones we've done, pop the 4 screws off. And to nobody's surprise, we just got a bunch of shitty grease in there again. So it's time to pull all this shit out. I'll go ahead and do a quick overview of what this looks like again, because it's been a while since the whole bowl. But pull those out. I'm going to turn that upside down, let that drain. I'm not going to remove any of this. Once again, I'm not doing a full rebuild. I'm just changing the oil out. So I'm going to wipe that down, get all that grease out of there so it doesn't blend in with the fresh diff oil. And then I'm going to scrub this out. You see it's already starting to drip. That's how shitty it was. I'm going to clean that, and then we'll put it back together and put the front back. Alright, so I got everything all cleaned up. Just a touch up on this. Just you put this bottom gear in first. This goes to this one, but there's one that goes in here, and then I top it off with the fluid, just enough to cover that. Then I place the gears in, and then put enough fluid just to cover that. And you don't want to overfill this. Reason being is when this is in operation, this oil actually creates gas inside this chamber, and if it's too much, the gas will expand this and it'll make it leak diff fluid. So I've actually had that happen with the Truggy when I first put it together, and I actually made that mistake with the Slash when I did the center one the first time, and then I figured it out. But that's that. I got to put it back together. I'm gonna screw them back in, and then we'll go back to the front of this bad boy. And last tip on the diff: don't torque one screw all the way down and torque this screw all the way down. It's not gonna seat level, and if you do it incorrectly, you could ruin the gears that are inside. So what I do is I start one, start this one, start that one, start that one, then torque that a little bit, torque that a little bit, and keep repeating until they all go all the way down. And then once you get to the end, you should give it one like snug turn. You'll hear it click once, and then that's a wrap. Don't do any more than that, because then you'll start stripping what's inside of here. And that's that. I'm gonna pop this bad boy back in, and we'll see how she sounds. Oh, and don't forget to clean and reinstall these the rubber bushings. You need these, otherwise your dog bones will be sliding back and forth. And on occasion, I've had it where I've jumped this once. Actually, it's twice where it jumped, and the dog bone popped out of place because one of these fell out. See how I got this back in there? I took one hand, pulled up one side, lifted it up, and then slid it into place. And it should go right back in there just like that. You're good to go. Alright, don't forget to apply grease to your spur gear. Just rub that in. So we slid the diff housing cover back on. Make sure you get your sway bars right here so they're close to those plastic pieces. We'll clip those in. My bad, those under there, they're 2.5s. So I'm gonna tighten those real quick. Next up, we're popping these 2 screws in that hole. Alright, we're gonna reinstall this bar. sometimes you gotta squeeze these together to get it to fit. I've already done that. And I'm gonna try to get these fucking clamps back on. This is gonna be a pain in the ass without the tool, but I'll see what I can do. Alright, so basically what I'm gonna try is just to put it on, put a screwdriver right on the end. I'm gonna try to clamp it down. Let's see. Yep, there we go. It's a little rough, but it works. Alright, so we got both of those clips back on. Now we're going to put these in hole 1 and hole 2 here. Alright, and lastly, we attach the bumper. It slides in like that. I'm going to do that. I can't do both at the same time. Alright, and now I'm going to use the ball joint tool to clamp it back into place here. I'm going to come off screen. Alright, got the ball joints back in place for the sway arms. And the last thing to do now is just been wanting to clean this up, take it off. I haven't done it yet, but I'm gonna do it right now. Clean this up, reattach it, and I'm gonna run it. Alright, and the true test of the work. Let's see what it... Yeah, I'm happy with that. Now we just gotta do the rear, and that's gonna be a different project. What's up, y'all? We're gonna work on the rear today. Focus for you first. Alright, I got this first clip off. This is recessed, so it's kind of a pain in the ass to get them out. And I don't have a tool for it, so what I've been doing is just took the flathead, kind of pried it outwards, and then went from the other side and pushed. Alright, next I pulled out those, let me see if I can get around this side. Pulled out the balls that were here. This goes in there, so I pulled that out on both sides. Next I'm gonna pull these two out. Alright, now that we got these long ass screws out, I'm gonna go ahead and try to pry this off. Just like the whole bio, this has a little notch under it. So it looks like I might have to pry this up and then pull out. Put the phone down one sec. Alright, so this thing turned out to prove to be a real bitch to get off because of that notch. So I'm not even going to bother taking it off this one. I'm just going to let it slide off to the side. We're going to focus on getting this bitch out. Looks like I got to take this whole wing assembly off just to get this to come out. So it looks like 2 screws right here, which have holes that you're going to stick through to get back here. And it looks like there's 2 right here. Let's see if I can get a better view. 1 right here. 1 right there. Right there. So I'm gonna pull all 4 of those off. And I don't see anything down here, but I'm sure if I turn the light on, I'm going to bet you like the last one, there's a sneaky ass fucking screw in here somewhere. So there is not a screw in there, which is a good thing. So I'm gonna try to get those 4 off that I said. It looks like there's one right here too. This is gonna help get this wing off, so that's got to come off as well. I'll do that. Give me one sec. Alright, just a heads up. These screws that are in this dark hole here, they're 2mm. Help y'all out, because I don't know about y'all, but I don't like sticking my thing in dark holes without knowing what the hell's in it. You know what I mean? Alright, and unscrewing these 2 screws here along with this one that's I showed you on the side. This should just pop right out if I'm not mistaken. Yep, there we go. Just like that. So that slides in there. Alright, set that aside. And then next I'm going to get these 2 screws off. Alright, I tried to pull this bitch out. I got them screws out, but it's not ready. So what I did, flip it up side down here, and you'll see there's a few screws under here. So I'm going to take, yeah, it looks like just these 2 are for the, where we're trying to get out, and these 2 are for the other half. So we'll get these 2 out. There's a little something I do for all y'all off-roaders out there. I don't know, y'all probably know this shit, but for some of y'all that don't, what I do to get the dirt out of these is I'll take an X-Acto and go backwards so you don't ruin the blade too much. But go backwards and just carve around it. Try to hit all the little corners. And when I'm done that, I'll take my air compressor, shoot it out real quick. There we go. Let me pull these up. Alright, and unscrewing those two bottom ones, freed it up. This is what we're looking at. And I'm put everything I got, all the cars, that there's fucking grease in there and not diff fluid. Alright, let me pop this out and I'm gonna take it apart, put it back together. Oh, that one came out real easy. Okay. What's crazy about this is they're all metal gears. They all have metal. And that's why I think it's so fucking noisy. But I noticed when I did the front and middle ones, it got a little quieter. I put some grease in the middle gear. I put some grease in the front, so it's quieted down. I think this one's the one that's making noise, so I'm going to clean this out. Yeah, grease. But it looks like we hit the jackpot with this one. They put more, I guess because it was like the rear, and they figured, shit, the rear needs more. Fucking dopes. Hold on. And a quick review on applying the oil. I put just enough to cover that gear. Next, you're going to put your first set of gears in. And if you look, there's a notch. Make sure that notch is facing up. The next one you put in is going to go this way across. And it's going to have a notch, but you want that notch facing down and fitting in there. So now you take that second bar, like I told you, make sure the notch is facing down, seated in there firmly. And then I'll top that up with the diff oil. What I do is I get it right to the very tip of the gears itself. Don't go all the way up to the tip of the plastic, because you got to remember, you still have this gear trying to fit in there, and you still have to have at least a little bit of air in there for that gas expansion. So I'm going to put this on, tighten it up, and we're going to reassemble. Alright, so I'll put the spur gear back on, and just so for like, see if I can try to focus in here. You can see that there's a little bit of oil in that screw hole, and what that means is I put too much. So I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to take a little oil out first, and then I'm going to screw it in. Alright, so the diff's all oiled up, ready to go. We're going to slide this back in. And it's for Andrew, Christian, Ian, TJ. Make sure you put grease on this, because this is the e-buggy, the Serpent. Make sure you put red grease on this, because it's metal. If it was plastic, I mean, you could put it on still, but you want to make sure you put it on the metal to metal, because otherwise you're going to have real problems, and all this shit's got to be replaced. Yeah, like I said before, this channel isn't just for like y'all, and for me, it's for my nephews and my son. They're the ones gonna get these cars, so somebody's gotta tell them how to do it, because I'll tell you what, it's hard to find information on most of this shit right now. So especially like the off-brand, well, not off-brands, just brands that aren't as popular here in the States, like Serpent, Hobio, and stuff like that. It's hard to find the videos online too. I think I'm pretty much the only one with like a whole bio video, full teardown of all the diffs and how to do it on that car. And I think I'm gonna be the only one to show how to take it apart to get to the diffs on YouTube, because I've seen a guy do the rebuild. He hasn't done the whole teardown from the car. But anyway, I digress. Screw in there, and then we're gonna put the wing back on, slide this back over. Oh, see, I'm talking shit, and I ain't even put what I didn't put, y'all. Red grease is stupid. 1 second. Alright, now that we put some red grease, we're gonna go ahead and put the cover back on, like I was trying to do. Put these two in, and then I'm gonna reattach the wing with these two screws and that cross screw here. Next, I'm gonna go on the underside and put these small screws back in, so we can lock that in place. Alright, a little note of struggle here, getting this thing back on the way I had it. In order to get this notch in, you have to make sure you loosen these bottom screws first. That way you could slide that in. That was dumb of me. There was no way I was going to get that shit to fit in there. Alright, but it's in there. I'm going to put these two screws in, and then I'm going to try to attach those clamps, and we should be just about done. Alright, if you have this issue, or this is flush, all you got to do is take a, let me see if I can get back here. It's in between the battery. the other end of the rod is just sticking out here. I just stuck a screwdriver in, and you'll see once I poke it here, it'll just pop out. There you go. And what I did was I wedged a screwdriver in there, and then you can push that plastic back, and then you'll see that little notches there, so you can add that little C-clamp. Alright, now in order to get these screws in here, you'll have to push down on this whole piece to make it kind of match up with the metal here, and then they'll go in. Alright, I'm going to tighten this, and then the last thing should be the side screw for the wing, and then reattach the balls. I'm going to do a test run. We're about to see what she can do real quick. Definitely quieter. So with that, I think it looked pretty good. It felt good, but I mean, that's not really the test. The test is to put it on the track and see how it handles out there. Hopefully no more spin outs. And I don't know, we'll see. I still think I need a motor and an ESC plus a servo. I mean, that was a nice bump up, something to fix. It took a little bit. It wasn't that bad though. It was kind of easy as y'all saw, but yeah, let's get her back on the track. I might take her out to practice this week, or this coming week. Just race the truggy and take this in a slash for practice, because we get like an hour and a half practice in the beginning. So I might take advantage of having that and take these two out there and see what happens. All right, y'all. Out.